So, ladies and gentlemen, that was the theology in the last lesson. I think this is the sixth lesson now. Now, here comes the practical part. How are we going to deploy the equivalent of planting barns around Egypt, but around Britain, in order to sustain the legacy of the colonial era? And I believe if we establish a Queen Elizabeth Arboretum adjacent to Stonehenge to show the difference, and I suggested this as early as 2019, I think, in my 2019 candidacy in Southend West, that this also is her legacy. What do I mean by this? Look, the British government just announced a £46 million package for a memorial to commemorate Queen Elizabeth II. I think that's so open and so bland. But let me put that to one side. I want to suggest that we do something which the Queen herself wanted her legacy to sustain her reign. And it is written in her 21st birthday speech, which she made in South Africa on her 21st birthday. At the heart of that fivefold manifesto, if you like, was a pledge to save the British Empire. It was as clear as that. And then she went on to ask us to join in with her pledge. Now, had Her Majesty died suddenly after her accession in 1952, she may just have been possible to keep that idea, though unwise, because we all know in the 1950s, the legacy of the British Empire, the most illustrious illustration of the colonial era, came to an end. So it would have been unwise and probably impossible. The wonderful thing is, because Her Majesty reigned for 70 years afterwards, which equates to the reign of Queen Victoria and past it, you've got the juxtaposition where we're now saying we can emulate the colonial era in which Queen Victoria symbolises the greatness of the British Empire. So what we can do is sustain the acquisition of power without necessarily doing the stupid thing, and that is to sustain the colonial image of the British Empire. And this is what the Royal Arboretum is meant to achieve, ladies and gentlemen, in three aspects. Firstly, it is to have a building in the centre of the Arboretum equal to the Albert Hall, or even bigger, because it is meant to symbolise what Great Britain achieved during that colonial era. So festivities can be carried on in that building, and especially of a passion play which I've written of the colonial era. The second thing, it is meant to have trees planted around the Arboretum to commemorate people who died in acute circumstances, such as the pandemic of 2020. The third thing is, I hope that my tuition course of the colonial era, there it is, can be implemented by a senior service corps. What I mean by this, those who are just about to retire from 65 to 75, I will train that body of men and women between 60 and 75 who may just remember the 1950s, or even older, between 75 and say 80, because people are still very active up here, and in here. So that is my battle plan, so to speak, to build this tuition course around the country. So that is the end of my 6th lesson, I hope, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.